Hello, welcome to the Self-Learning Podcast by Dr. Sushma Singh. Let us start discussion on Unit 3, Theory and Paradigm. And our topic is recent advances in sociological theories. Recent advances that were made in sociology are quite important and meaningful. Besides the works of Auguste Comte, Emile Durkheim, A.R. Radcliffe Brown, Brainshaw, Malin Swanky, Tarkat Parson, and Robert K. Merton, which were mainly influenced by and to a large extent remained concerned with the philosophy of positivism. There was another stream of thought emerging out during the same period. The development of sociology has witnessed, apart from the philosophical background of positivism, another stream of thought initiated and encouraged by the German sociologists like Max Weber. It was the Max Weber who defined sociology as an interpretative understanding of social action. Max Weber initiated the debate on why the elements of the subjectivity, subjective understanding, and the Verstehen should be included in the sociology. Max Weber, never impressed by the formulations centered around the positivism, wanted to give a new direction to the formulations in the sociological theory. In fact, the whole debate centered around the issue of subjectivity versus objectivity was initiated and inspired by Max Weber. In fact, sociology as a subject has been strengthened by the efforts made by Max Weber. Here are reference to only two such new areas of research, namely phenomenology and the ethnomethodology shall be made. These two topics represent the main areas concerned with the recent advances made in sociological research. Two other topics require a mention here as they have emerged in the recent times. They are postmodernism and globalization. We hope that at various stages of learning sociology, all such concepts shall be discussed. Although sociological theories were initially developed to strengthen the subject and establish it as a core discipline in itself, but with the advancement of the subject, certain perspectives clearly emerged in the process. Here a reference shall be made to only such perspectives which have had a direct bearing upon the development of sociology. Sometimes the terms like theories and the perspectives have been used interchangeably also. Some of the popular perspectives developed in sociology are known as functional perspective, conflict perspective, exchange perspective, and symbolic interactionist perspective. Although several scholars in one or another way have been associated with different perspectives, but here only those thinkers shall be mentioned whose names are generally familiar to us. The name of Emile Durkheim and Robert K. Merton have been associated with the functional perspective. Karl Marx represents the conflict perspective. B.C. Malinowski discussed the material related to the exchange perspective, whereas Herbert Blumer discussed about symbolic interactionist perspective. Here it might be advised that while discussing about the sociological theories, it would be relevant to keep in mind the role of thinkers as well as that of various perspectives to which they are associated. Now let us move to the next point, the concept of a paradigm. It was Kuhn who first suggested that development within a discipline, especially science, is not a gradual process, but in fact takes place quite suddenly. Hence, Kuhn's book entitled The Structure of Scientific Revolution, Kuhn calls these sudden changes as paradigm shift. According to Kuhn, science and by extension social science undergoes its process in three phases, which are discernible: pre-scientific phase, normal science, paradigm shift. In the initial phase, theories of explanation are incomplete and competing with one another. At some point, one of the theories establishes itself, bringing in the phase of normal science. In this phase, a single theory or a set of theories emerge dominant, which Kuhn calls a paradigm. When there is a paradigm shift, the situation is one where the previous theories have proved to be redundant. For Kuhn, this is a natural process and it repeats itself over time as the new and established theories themselves become incomplete as knowledge expands. At this point, the solution lies in modifying the theories or to abandon them for another set of dominant or competing theoretical explanations, which offer more complete and better explanation for both science, social science, and worldview as a whole. We can give an example of paradigm shift by referring to Copernicus, who pointed out that it was the earth that revolved around the earth rather than sun revolving around the earth, as were Ptolemy's position. Copernicus gained adherence to his views with scientific data to prove them. A sudden shift in terms of theories, concepts, and perspectives emerged with great speed, and there was a paradigm shift. A new theoretical explanation emerges and establishes itself, ushering in the new set of theories and perspectives. Another example of paradigm shift occurred when Einstein's theory of relativity replaced Newton's theory of gravity. We must point out that according to Kuhn, the paradigm shift implies a rather drastic, if not total, replacement of the previously established theories of the science and social sciences. In short, the earlier theories are not comparable, the shift is total. The way language is used, the development of new concepts, words, and meanings is part of a paradigm shift. So are norms, values, and mores. To put it differently, a paradigm shift implies a new view of the world, its perception, perspective, and overall attitudes of the world community charges with the great speed. In the era of globalization, which witnesses the post-modern paradigm shift, in which the local context is considered to be the focus of study and the consideration of general or mega theories is not considered either wise or practical. Thus, the concept of paradigm shift has two aspects to it. The first is that which engulfs the whole and subsumes its various parts on subsets. It comprises all the procedures of science or social science. This is a global paradigm. At the second level, we find there are theories and practices which bolster the existing paradigm of the society or globe. We must clarify if it here that although some efforts have been put into make sociology a distinct, independent and a scientific discipline by some great scholars included, but the sociological theories thus produced have also been challenged on several grounds. This once again highlights the scientific nature of sociology, where every theory can be put to test and liable to be rejected if found wrong. Thus, in sociological theories, as in another sciences as well, there is nothing like an eternal or a universal truth that remains a truth under all conditions and at every moment of time. Sociological theories should also not to be confused with something like religious or metaphysical assertions. Nor sociological theories are comparable to philosophical guidelines to be followed. Sociological theories have come out of such problems, and the challenges faced by them today are of another nature, and most of them are of scientific type. And in order to achieve that scientific nature, sociology has travelled a long path since the writing of Auguste Comte, who had established it as a positivist science. The first challenge to sociological theory has come from the huge amount of data that have been generated throughout the world, especially after the World War II. For example, data gathered in the area of demography has led to several new innovations at the theoretical level. Similarly, data concerning human development index has helped in making transnational comparisons. The second challenge to sociological theory has come from the processes of change that are taking shape at various levels of society. To put it in simple words, it could be said that the processes of social change keep on going in society, independently of the fact whether sociologists study them or not. In fact, in the contemporary world, the processes of social change are not only complex in nature, but they are taking shape at a much faster pace today. As a result of it, many a time sociologists are not actually in the position to study them. There are several such phenomena which require some serious sociological studies. For example, the consequences of AIDS and that of terrorism. Much remains to be done in these areas. The third challenge to sociological theories came when society at large had undergone some significant periods of time. These important periods include the end of the World War II, end of the colonial rule at various places in the world, and the emergence of various independent nation states. The sociological theories have had to accommodate themselves several times when such important changes were taking shape in the world. The fourth challenge to the sociological theory has come due to some misconception about the sociology as a subject that is basically meant to solve the current problems of society. In fact, sociology is quite capable of solving the problem of society too, but so far it has kept itself limited up to their scientific study only. But at the level of the response to some of these problems and challenges faced, sociologists have attempted to address some of them. As a consequence of the efforts of the sociologists, we have seen the emergence of certain theoretical formulations centered around the conceptions like rationality, postmodernism, globalization, and civil society. At the level of sociological theory, intellectuals and the academicians from the subject have also responded meaningfully on the topics like democracy, socialism, and secularism. Sociologists, to some extent, through their writings have made their presence felt in the area of the reconstruction of society. Now let us conclude the unit. We have seen what comprises a theory and what a paradigm means. We have taken an analysis of classical sociological theory and seen how Comte enunciated the law of the three stages: Marxian ideology, Weberian ideology, Parsons' action theory, and some recent advances in sociological theory. Finally, we turned to the concept of paradigm and explained what it means in terms of intellectually violent stuff in the dominance of theory, which have been termed paradigm shift by Thomas Kuhn. We have adequately indicated the subject to which we addressed ourselves to. Now let us wind up the session and take rest, and we have come to the end of the unit. Thank you very much for engaging yourself with the self-learning podcasts.